Hello and welcome back to my channel for another Sun-Moon combination. If you're new, my name is Lorraine, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Aries Sun with Virgo Moon. I'm going to start off the video by talking about what a typical Aries Sun is like, and then I'm going to get into the moon placement and then talk about how the moon and sun probably interact and how it affects certain things. So if there's certain things about the sun description that don't quite make sense or don't quite resonate, then hang around till I talk about the moon placement and the combination, and then it will probably tie together quite nicely and make a lot of sense. So Aries Suns are very passionate, aggressive, competitive, goal-driven, loyal, energetic, and self-confident, and fiercely independent. I know of a lot of adults that like to kind of romanticize being a kid, like, oh, to be a kid again, you know, no responsibilities, don't have to pay bills, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And I am like, hell nah, hell no. Like, I don't know about others, this is my personal experience, but as a kid, like, I don't miss being a kid at all. I much prefer being an adult, even if it means I have more responsibilities and bills. I much prefer having my own independence. So, like I mentioned, Aries love their independence, and because of this, they hate being told what to do, and I think most Aries don't enjoy having a boss, or at the very least, they don't enjoy not having any kind of autonomy or leadership position at work. So if you're an Aries or you know someone that's an Aries, they're probably far happier either starting their own business or being in some kind of leadership position at work, whether that's a supervisor, manager, or the CEO, or at the very least having a job where they have some form of autonomy with their work. Aries Suns are also quite impulsive, and they kind of tend to not think through decisions a lot. They're more spontaneous, you know. They want to just, when they get an idea and they're excited about it, they just want to do adventures and they want to do stuff. They're more about action, and so they don't really think through all of the possibilities and do a lot of planning. So, and they're also not risk averse. So Aries, yeah, they don't really plan stuff or think things through a lot before jumping in head first. Now, nothing lights Aries up more than the pursuit of a goal that they're really passionate about. Like I mentioned, they're very goal-driven, and Aries are really good at starting projects, but they're not so good at finishing them. Aries has shiny object syndrome because they're so passionate and they're so excited about the start of something new. Then once they get to like the work and the in-between, and the passion wears off, and then they'll usually abandon it for some newer, more exciting goal that they're passionate about. So Aries are very good at starting, they're not very good at finishing. And Aries have very like fluctuating energy. It's because it's so much energy and so much passion like at the beginning that it's not sustainable to continue that level of energy or passion, and as a result they usually fizzle out or even burn out. And so Aries are not known for their slow, methodical, perseverant pace with things. That's definitely more of an earth sign thing. You know, they say that life is a marathon, but for Aries it's a series of sprints. So I find actually Aries can sometimes have a hard time like with being tired or burnt out all of the time, because many of us don't know how to like save energy for later and don't know how to like slow down before we get to the point where we burn out. Aries hate being controlled, and spite is definitely a powerful motivator for them. Now, Aries tell it like it is. Aries don't really beat around the bush. They cannot handle any backhanded, passive-aggressive, or fakeness from people. That's the kind of thing that really makes Aries blood boil, and sometimes they can be considered to be an asshole because Aries are just very, very blunt, and they're very to the point, and they just don't understand like why you have to be like manipulative or like beat around the bush or all those backhanded things. Like if you have something bad to say it to my face. Be upfront about it. Now, Aries are very impatient, like I mentioned, and this is also the case when it comes to things like their temper. I find Aries Aries are probably the quickest to anger of all of the 12 signs, but they also get over it really quickly. So like I mentioned, it's so much energy and passion at the beginning, and then it fizzles out like a lot quicker than some of the other signs. Now, Aries are aggressive, like I said at the beginning, and this is true. It's not always a bad thing. What I mean is that Aries are very aggressive about everything. They love aggressively, they get angry aggressively, they approach projects and ideas aggressively. They get excited and they're very aggressive about how they express their passion. Now, Aries will stick up for and defend their loved ones no matter what. Like I mentioned, they're really loyal and very passionate. And I find usually if an Aries is getting angry, a lot of the time it could be because they're defending someone that they care about. Aries also really want to see their loved ones succeed. Aries are just passionate about so many things, and they're passionate about doing what they want to do and living their life how they please, because they're the first sign of the zodiac, so they are a more selfish sign. And this isn't always a bad thing, but they are the more selfish sign in that they put themselves first. And so that can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing depending on how healthy this person is and how evolved or unevolved they are. Now, if they're healthy, I find because they put themselves first, they're much more inclined to then be able to do that for other people. They bring that passion and that vitality to the people they care about, and as a result, I find Aries can be some of like the best cheerleaders because they want to see the people around them be as passionate and excited about life and wants to push people to be the best they can be. Aries also, I think, are known for aggressive pep talks. So my partner has been the subject of many of those. And it's because we care and we also love giving advice. Now, Aries aren't the best at dealing with other people's emotions. Now, this does depend on the moon placement as well as other factors, but for the most part, Aries in and of itself, we are not the best at dealing with people's emotions. And that's not to say that we don't care, quite the contrary, actually, but Aries, like when someone we care about comes to us to talk about a problem in their life or something that's making them upset, our knee-jerk reaction is to fix it. What can I do to fix it? We'll give advice because we think it's how we think that if something is making you upset or something is a problem, it needs to be fixed so it won't make you feel this way anymore. And it's kind of a learning curve for Aries. It definitely was for myself that sometimes when people come to you with a problem and they're talking to you about something, sometimes they just want to talk. They don't need you to fix it. They don't want your advice, even if we think they need it. Sometimes they just want to talk. And so that can be a challenging part for Aries because that's just not how we're wired. We're wired on like, let's fix this. I'll go beat up this person, like give you an aggressive pep talk. I'll give you lots of advice that you don't want. Let's make it better. So even if they're not best at dealing with the emotions or listening and just being there to console you, Aries do care. But Aries do not have a tolerance for people that just sit around and wallow and feel sorry for themselves and for a long period of time and just don't try. And they have no patience or sympathy for people who ask for advice, go against that advice, and then come back and complain about the consequences and feeling sorry for themselves. Because when we love someone, when we care about someone, us Aries, we love pushing people to be the best that they can be. And when it feels like the people we care about aren't trying, or they're not doing their best, or they're making decisions or doing things that are against their own best interests, or they ask for advice and don't follow it, we're very honest about how we feel about it. And that's not everyone's cup of tea. Because Aries, like I mentioned, they're not the ones that want to just sit and talk about your feelings. We're more like doers, action takers, and fixers. Let's, either do something to fix it, or let's do something to not think about it and shove it down. Basically, Aries are quite to the point. They don't beat around the bush, especially with the people they care about. So even if maybe sometimes your feelings get hurt, at least Aries are very honest about where you stand with them and how they feel about you. And it's because they want the same in return. Most Aries, like I mentioned, that are healthy and, I'm going to get to the unevolved aspects of Aries because I'm very aware that they exist. But when Aries are healthy and fairly evolved, They're very straight and to the point about where you stand with them and how they feel about you, because we want the same in return. It's because Aries don't like the fake or the passive aggressive stuff that goes like talking behind each other's back and then acting like everything's fine to your face and then finding out about it, like gossip and things like that. Aries don't like being on the receiving end of that, and so they're very forthcoming with being like, hey, I'm going to talk to you directly. They're not super conflict averse. That's a big thing with Aries, is they don't really shy away from conflict, especially with loved ones, because they're just, let's get it out in the open. Let's talk about it. Like, Aries are very to the point. And so they appreciate when other people are very to the point with them. So now, some of the downsides of Aries. So like you've probably picked up now, Aries are very passionate, energetic individuals. And now we get to kind of the problems that can arise from Aries. And that is, if that passionate energy does not have a proper outlet, ideally either something physical or competitive. Aries are very competitive. So if it does not have some kind of healthy outlet, it builds up, and that's what leads to the Aries stereotypes of being an asshole or hot-headed or very short-tempered, where they fly off the handle, and just because they're unable to control all of this energy and these feelings that, and this passion that has like bottled up, that they don't have an outlet for. And so I find it's not uncommon for Aries to need some form of anger management. Now, for the most part, though, Aries are very passionate individuals who are fiercely independent, and when they care about someone, they have a very direct way of showing it, and they like to push people to be the best they can be, and sometimes it doesn't come across how we mean it to. I'm recording this on a different day because I had my birthday on the 18th, and if you noticed, I got a new chair. So quickly, before I get to the moon placement, I wanted to let you know about the new Facebook group that I am starting called the Astrology Club. It's going to be really awesome. I'm going to be putting free training in there quite often. I also really want to be making transit videos, and they're using people's actual birth charts. Inside the Facebook group, there's also a 2021 astrology calendar that you can download for free, basically detailing all major astrology transits for the rest of the year, going from May until the end of December. So if you would like to join the Facebook group, the link in the description. I would really love if you join, talking all about astrology. Let's get back to the moon placement. So now we get to Virgo Moon. So Virgo Moons are very practical, very hardworking, analytical, and detail-oriented. They enjoy learning things that have a practical application. So they don't want to learn things just for the sake of knowing it or learning it. They want it to have a practical application to help them in their everyday life when achieving some sort of goal or just something practical, even if it's just building furniture. If it has a practical application to their life, then they're really quick learners and they enjoy it. Virgo Moons really enjoy getting a job done right, and they hold themselves and others to very high standards. Virgo placements in general do this. Now, because of these high standards, I find that Virgo placements in general, but we're talking about Virgo Moon here, so Virgo Moons can struggle with self-confidence because they hold themselves and sometimes others to very high standards, and when they inevitably don't meet some of those standards, they are quite harsh on themselves. They are their harshest critic. And after a while, that kind of wears down on their self-confidence. And it comes from being quite a perfectionist and being very organized. And so not all of them have this, but I do find quite a few of them do struggle with self-confidence, but they put on a good face where you wouldn't notice it otherwise, especially if they have Aries Sun. So I do think that they could run into some trouble, this pairing, because you already have that Aries temper and that Aries passion. And so if they're quite low in the confidence category underneath the surface, they could take that out on others via their temper and being quite critical, which is a kind of how Virgo Moon takes it out. Virgo Moons are also quite pessimistic, which is a little different from Aries, because I find Aries tend to have kind of this young vitality energy about them and aren't very pessimistic. So basically this adds a lot more perseverance and organized ability and just practicality behind Aries. And so this is an Aries that's less likely to take big risks without thinking about them, and is also someone that could actually finish some of the projects that they started. This is going to be a person that's very direct and very honest, even more so, and probably even more likely to ruffle some feathers and maybe even offend people, because Virgo moons also are not people that beat around the bush and try to save your feelings when talking to you about stuff. They're very direct. But this could be really helpful for Aries when trying to achieve goals and working towards things, because you have an Aries that really gets excited about starting new projects and is really good at the starting, and then any earth placement in general is going to be good at finishing projects and having a good pace throughout and making sure that they get the job done right, which is a very Virgo moon trait. And they're also going to probably approach it in a far more organized fashion and practical, responsible way than a typical Aries would. But this would also then probably make this Aries less passionate than a typical Aries, because Virgo moon, it's in the emotion placement. Earth moons are a lot more emotionally stable, save for the self-confidence when it comes to Virgo moon. So if they're not struggling with self-confidence, they're a lot more emotionally stable than Aries by itself. And so that will kind of help balance out some of the passion and the temper that Aries is known for. But it also could feel a little difficult where you've got the Virgo moon that's quite maybe perfectionist and critical and needing to get a job done right and struggling with perfectionism, and then there's the Aries that wants to ditch that project and move to a next one. And so there could be struggle to meet a balance. And if you're wondering which one kind of wins out or which one you relate to more, it really depends on whether this person was born in the day or at night. If they were born during the day, they probably relate a little more to their Aries sun. If they were born at night, they probably relate more to the Virgo moon. And then it also depends on what house these signs are in. So if you have your Aries sun in, say, the 7th house, and your Virgo moon is in the 2nd house, then when you're, say, doing things that have to do with finances and possessions, then that's more when your Virgo would come out. If you're dealing with things like relationships and a close partnership with one person, then that's probably more where your Aries comes out. So it really depends on what house your sun and moon is in, and then when you're in those topics of that house, that's probably where you'll notice more of one or the other come out, as well as if you were born during the day or at night. And just wanted to add that really I don't see there being anything that this person couldn't accomplish with this pairing, because like I mentioned, the Aries sun is this trailblazing ball of energy that's so excited about projects, and then the Virgo moon is going to be very detail oriented, not going to take unnecessary risks, is going to be very calculated and very determined, detail oriented, organized, and not stop until it's done and it's done right. And they're definitely not the kind of people that would cave to outside influence or other people's opinions or worrying about offending people. And so they're going to if they're on the warpath to making something, they're going to make it happen. And so you all just better get out of the way. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. I'm almost able to get my channel monetized, and so I would really appreciate the subscribes as well as the watch time. So if there is content that you would like me to make, please comment below and let me know, and I will do my best to make it. And if you want to join the Astrology Club, a link will be in the description. I hope to see you there. That's all for now. Take care.